This is the Hypothetically Sound podcast,
hosted by Alec, Randy, and Xavier,
where we take a hypothetical look at the world around us,
exploring the what ifs, maybes, and how comes.
Join in on the unfiltered, raw, and real conversations
as we explore the world around us.
Welcome back to Hypothetically Sound. Hope you guys are having a great day, and thank you again for tuning into one of our podcasts. Today, you guys are in for a treat, a unique episode, and by a treat, I mean you just get to listen to me, Randy, talk by myself for the next 20 plus minutes. Why am I by myself? Because I wanted to talk about something that was very personal to me, something that helped me become the person I am today, and honestly is the reason I'm alive today. I want to talk to you guys about a group I was in high school called the SOS Players, Skits Outreach Services. It was a nonprofit theater company, teen theater company that traveled around the nation doing shows on teen issues like drugs, alcohol, pregnancy, depression, bullying, cyberbullying, sadness, anything you can think of. We had a skit for it, and if we didn't have a skit for it, we would write one. It was a cool group. It was started in 1990 by a woman named June Erdman. She was a very big theater person in the Hudson, Wisconsin area where the group was founded and where it was located for most of its lifetime. She took some kids that she knew from theater in the area. They went in her basement, wrote the first skits, and started performing them. And so it went from 1990 to about 2017, 2018, I believe, and no longer exists now, unfortunately. But it had a good life. And it was a very unique thing. There are other things like that in Minnesota, but what made ours unique was it was teens talking to teens. We would go to high schools, we would go to churches, we would go to conferences, we would go to, I think we performed in a hospital once, we performed all over, any place that they could have enough space for us to put up our backdrop and have our boxes, which was our set, we would perform. And it was an amazing time of my life. I literally look back on it all the time. It shaped who I was. I made a lot of friends that shaped who I am. A lot of role models who helped me become a better person, a better man. So yeah, I want to let you guys into that part of my life. This is going to be part one of hopefully 3 more episodes, if not more. I have done interviews with some friends who used to be in the group, and I just talked to them about their time in the group, how they felt about it looking back now, what they remember, and things like that. And it was really fun talks. So as long as they give me the green lights, you will be hearing those in the next upcoming weeks. But for now, you get to listen to me talk about my time with the group, some things I was going through when it all started, things I go through now, looking back, how it's shaping me, and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. So, like I said, it started in 1990, and I joined the group in 2006. But we had to back up a little bit. So in 2004, I started high school, freshman, 14-year-old, and I went to Wayzata High School in Minneapolis, or Wayzata, Minnesota, near Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Wayzata was incredible. I remember the first time going and looking at the school, I thought like we went over this little bridge that took you to the land that this high school was on because it had its own land. And I thought it was a mall because it was so big. The school was so big. It was 4 stories, like literally wider than super Walmarts. Each class, so freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, had their own floor, plus gyms, plus the cafeterias. They had their seniors football field, a junior football field, and then 2 more football fields in like a back area, plus baseball fields, a hockey rink. It was incredible. Nothing I had ever seen at that point in my life, like growing up in Minneapolis. Like the schools there are big, but like the schools in Minneapolis that I was used to looked more like old buildings that were just turned into school. So it was incredible there. I played football. It was fun. I took some really interesting classes, got to experience some really cool things, got to meet new people, new lifestyles. And by what I mean by that is growing up in Minneapolis, like I didn't know a lot of people with a lot of money. Went to Wayzata and everybody had money except for the kids that were bussed in from low income housing or low income places in Minneapolis to go to school there, like myself. And so it was an interesting experience. I was excited to play football there for 4 years because I thought that was going to be my ticket to college because they were the best school in football at the time. They had Marion Barber went there. His younger brother Dominique Barber went there. They had a lot of good kids that went and played D1 football come from that school or D2, and I thought I would be next. I had a really good freshman year playing football. I was really good, made a lot of friends, and I was excited. And then, unfortunately, things happened, and my mom, we lost our house, got foreclosed on, and my mom decided to move to Hudson, Wisconsin. I had two choices: move to Hudson, Wisconsin, or go live with my dad and still go to Wayzata. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't have the relationship with my dad that would allow me to live with him. It just wouldn't work. And I wasn't going to leave my brother because my brother wasn't going to leave my mom. So we moved to Hudson. I didn't have the greatest grades at Wayzata, but grades didn't impact sports at Wayzata at the time. So when I moved to Hudson, first thing I did was get on the football team. Going in, I knew I had 2 Fs from my freshman year. And so when I went to talk to the football team about signing up, I brought that information up, said, yeah, hey, I see in your bylaws 1 F is okay, 2 Fs mean, or 1 F is like you can't play for a certain like couple games, 2 Fs mean you can't play for the season. And so I said, it didn't affect 8th graders coming in to high school. And so I asked them, like, I'm transferring from a different high school. Will my grades impact me playing football here? Because at that time I did have the ability, or not the ability, but my mom offered me the opportunity. If I couldn't play football at Hudson, that I could have went to Woodbury or Stillwater to play football, which is what I would have done. So, but they told me, yeah, you can play football. Your grades don't matter, blah, blah, blah. So get into the football team, make a lot of friends. It was really fun. The week of our first game, I get brought in. I didn't even get brought in. The athletic director found me walking in the hall and brought me into like a back hallway to tell me that I couldn't play for the season because of my grades from Wayzata. And that upset me incredibly. I wasn't a very even-tempered kid, so I got very angry very quickly because I had this conversation with them about playing, about my grades and being able to play for them. And I even said, I was like, you told me I could play for you, and if you would have been honest, I wouldn't be at this school right now. And so not getting to play football really irked me, and I felt lost. I would spend a lot of my time just listening to my music, sitting by myself. I'd eat lunch with people. I would read books, which that I didn't mind. I'm not a very extroverted person, so like spending lunch by myself reading books was cool to me. I enjoyed it. I got a lot of reading in. But I was lost outside of school. I didn't have anything to do, so I would go home and sit there with my brother and my grandma, watch TV, and there was other personal stuff going on that wasn't the best to foster a good mental health. And so it was a very rough time for me. And what else on top of it, my counselor wasn't good. I don't even think my counselor knew who I was, to be honest with you. The fact that I failed 2 classes didn't seem to matter to her when I was doing classes. And the reason I say that is because come my senior year, I had to take night school to make up for those failed classes my freshman year because she never set up my classes to make up for. So like I almost didn't graduate high school because those Fs were still there and I never had the credits to make up for them. But so I didn't get to play football that fall, and that spring, so the spring of 06, I started my first acting class. I had a not extra credit, but an extra class slot, and I could take an elective, and everything else was full because, again, my counselor didn't tell me certain things, didn't meet with me, and so I took intro to acting. And it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the people I was in the class with. And it was fun. And then summer came. I got back on the football team. I practiced, but then ended up hurting myself and didn't play that fall. But fortunately for me, that fall, the thing that would change the direction of my life happened. SOS Players came and performed at my high school. I got to see the show. I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. And one of the girls in it was in my acting classes. And I really enjoyed spending time with her. I thought she was a really cool girl. And being a 16-year-old boy, I wanted to try to date everybody I could. And so, like, I thought, hey, what's an easy way of getting closer to someone? Being a part of stuff they're doing. And so I talked to her, and she told me that SOS Players was having auditions in a couple weeks. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go audition for this thing. What's the worst that happens? I don't get in. And then I just keep doing what I'm already doing. And so one Saturday afternoon when they were having auditions, I was told to be there at 10 to like hang out, see what they were about, and just audition. And so I got there at 10, had my mom drop me off because I didn't have a car at the time. And I remember like being nervous, and I didn't understand. I hadn't been nervous about anything at that point in my life, like nothing. Trying out for football, talking to people, hanging out. I had never been nervous before in my life. But like that moment, I was nervous, and I didn't understand why. And like looking back, it was because maybe like consciously I didn't know how bad I wanted it or how much it would change my life, but subconsciously I had to know how important this would be for my life going forward. And so got in there and like went up, and they introduced me to everybody who was there for auditions. I think there was like 3 or 4 of us. It wasn't a whole lot of people that was there for auditions. And they did warm-ups, and I did part of the warm-ups and played games with them. And like, I tried to be as outgoing as possible, because I wanted to make it. I wanted to win. I wanted to be in the group. I didn't want to fail my audition. And so we did that. And then while they rehearsed their already skits, I was giving a monologue, and I could go practice it, and people gave me hints and tips and talked to me, and it was really funny. It was great. I knew before I actually did my monologue for like the directors and everything that I wanted to be part of the group. The people were just so cool to me, and they were so friendly, and it was like they acted like they wanted you to be there, and that was something that at that point in my life I didn't feel that often. Like even with my family, I always felt like I was a burden or I wasn't really part of it because, like, as much as I love my cousins, they were still 3 to 4 years older than me. So I'm 13, they're 16, 17, and I'm trying to hang out with them. And like, they were cool and they let me hang out and do certain things with them. But at the same time, I always felt like a burden. And there's other things that happen with family life that made me feel like a burden. Stuff going on at home made me feel like a burden. And so going to this space where people were actively searching me out, saying, good luck, we really want you here. I enjoy, like, just being super friendly was something unique and made me feel so good about myself. Because like I said, I didn't know how to feel good about myself before the group. I struggled with my weight. I struggled with acceptance. I'm not dark skinned by any means, but I'm still black. I acted certain ways that were very stereotypical. Growing up in Minneapolis, I had a certain mindset, certain attitude, and I brought it even forward to Hudson, a predominantly white school. I was one of 6 black kids in my school. And so like race was always a forefront with people in Hudson. And that seemed to be my character for a while. And at SOS, like, while race was something that would come up every once in a while, it wasn't a trait. It wasn't anything like that. Randy was the trait. My personality, the funny, goofy guy, the loving, caring guy was the trait that people looked at, not my skin color. It wasn't, oh, there's the black kid or there goes fat Randy. It wasn't. It was just me. I got to be me, and people accepted that, and it was amazing. It honestly was. But anyways, I digress. Got into the monologue, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. I took an intro to acting. I was in my second acting class, so I wasn't shy about acting. I knew how to I didn't know how to act well, but I knew how to read a monologue and perform. And so I wasn't shy about that. I practiced it a lot so I could memorize it. That's one thing I'm very good at, is memorizing, thank God. So it worked out for acting. So I went in there, had the monologue memorized. I performed for Andy, who was the director at the time, Jake, who was an intern at the time, an old intern named Brandon, I believe, was there, so he was sat in, and June Erdman sat in, and so I performed for them, and I thought it went well. They told me I did well. They congratulated me, saying thank you for auditioning, that type of thing. And then I was offered to stay. I could stay for the rest of the day, or I could go. And being like an intro, like that took all my will, like that I had to like audition to be there that early. And so I did leave. But before I left, and one thing that really impacted me and told me that this is a place I wanted to be, June came down as I was sitting outside, like trying to replay everything in my mind, making sure I didn't mess up, making sure I didn't say anything dumb. Came and talked to me about the group, about like just her feelings about the group, asked me how I felt. And it was just a very open conversation, and it made me feel even more welcome to the group. And she told me I had got in, they were going to let me in. They really enjoyed it, thought I did a really good job, and she was excited for my future with the group and where it can go, where I could go with the group and where the group could take me. And just having that conversation with her was amazing. And like looking back, knowing that that was the last interview she sat in, or audition she sat in on, also touched me, because that means like I was one of the last auditions she saw for SOS Players. And knowing how much the group meant to her and how much it meant to me, it was a bond that I will hold on for forever. So got into the group and started, they had rehearsals every Saturday and every Wednesday, plus shows. So I didn't do shows right away. I wanted to, I had to learn all of the pieces, and that took a month or so, to every Saturday, Wednesday, going, learning the blocking, learning the lines, learning everything, learning just how things work. And then I went on a show just to watch. I got to watch a show from sitting next to Andy, who ran the music, who was our director, and just getting to watch it from like a learning perspective also gave me a new perspective of the group, seeing how they set everything up, how they warmed up for the group, how the actors are doing, seeing the audience. Like from when I first watched it, I was the audience, and now I was watching the audience to see how they reacted to certain things, took mental notes in my head of, well, this worked very well with this group. Maybe it's something I can do, because there was improv and stuff in the group that we could do. So it was an interesting experience getting to watch it. And then I remember my first show was in Minnesota, and I was so excited. I didn't get a lot of roles. I didn't get any starring roles in the first one. I was a friend in a skit we called Pregnancy. I'm pretty sure I just held up a sign in our opening. I think I don't know if I had many lines. I think I was a bully in uh a skit we did that kind of touched on, it was called Bullying, and it was just a skit where like we would bully this kid, girls would bully him, and then like he would reach into a bag like there was a gun, uh and it was just about understanding that you don't know how the things you do is going to impact some person. And this was before school shootings were as dominant as they are now. Like when I was in group from 06 to 08, school shootings still weren't overly dominant in culture. And so like there wasn't a big issue about him reaching in and potentially we didn't say what was in the bag. We never said it was a gun, but it heavily implied that there was a gun in his bag. But anyways, those were the skits I did. And it was fun. It was exciting. Acting gives me this feeling in my stomach that I can't get anywhere else. I am nervous. I am excited. It's just a ball of energy in your stomach, and then like you can't do it. You think you're gonna puke, but soon as your foot touches that stage, it goes away, and you're just clear. There's nothing else. I don't. There's nothing else in your mind but what you're doing, the character you're playing, and it goes for all acting I've done. Like I don't know how many times that I've sat in the backstage like I don't know these lines, and then I get out on stage and it's just there's nothing in my mind anymore. I'm not thinking about the lines. They just come out. I just say them. I do my part. I act, and I love it, and it's a great feeling. And SOS gave me that. I don't know if I would have ever got it without SOS. But so it was crazy being a part of a group that not only changed other people's lives, because it did. Like obviously not every teen is going to, or every person is going to take anything away from a show. But I always had this mindset: if even one person was affected by what we did, we succeeded. If we saved one person from doing drunk driving or doing too many drugs, or if we help one person go get that help, go talk to someone, or help someone grieve, or whatever it was that we helped them, we won that day. And so people would talk to us after shows, people would send us emails and things like that, or find us on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, everything. And it was a great feeling. But me personally, SOS helped me understand more about myself than even now. I found my first real black role model in SOS. I don't know if I've ever told him that, but when I joined SOS, I told you Brandon, who was a former intern, was there, and he would show up. He was a summer director. My first summer, he was, outside of one friend and my cousins, the first mixed person I actually knew. He was confident. He was suave. He was everything. He was that dude. At least to 16, 17-year-old me, he was that dude. He was everything I wanted to be. He was good at acting. He was good looking. Women loved him. He was it. And I just took everything I could from him. Any notes he gave me, everything friendship, mentorship, everything that he could offer, I took. Because I didn't have many in my life. I didn't have people that I truly thought I could look up to, and he definitely was one of those people. So thank you. If you, for some reason, do end up listening to this, Brandon, I thank you, man. You made me a better person. You made me a better actor. So I really do appreciate everything you did for me. I don't even know if you remember anything, but I appreciate you, man. And then Another person, there's a lot of people who helped impact me from uh, SOS. Another one's gonna be Jenna, who I did an interview with, so you'll hear more from her about her and me talking to her. So I'm not gonna get into Jenna too much, but the friendship I have with Jenna has been lifelong, and I love her to death. So proud of everything that she's become, and I'm glad that we were able to have a friendship. Another person that really helped me become more, to become better, to understand that I could be more, that I could be better, was our director, Andy. Um, Andy really took me under his wing. He was like a big brother to me. He would feed me. He would help me play games with me, just talk to me. I would go over play video games, watch movies at his house. Um, it really was. I think he saw that something to. I needed someone to show me the way life is, the way life could be, and he did that for me. Uh, it's crazy how much of an impact someone can have on your life, and how years can go by without talking, and then you can start talking again, and it's like nothing changed. After I after I left SOS in 2008, I did go back and do a couple shows. And when I was a freshman in high school, and I think I did one when I was in lacrosse my sophomore year, so 2010, I think was the last time I did a show uh, for SOS. Um, and I think 2011 was the last time I talked to Andy. I fell out of contact with a lot of people. Um, I got into doing my own thing in college. I had that friend group there, and I focused on school, my friends, partying, and forgot about my life before. I don't know. Moved on uh, because I was sad that it ended. I was hurt that it ended, and I couldn't keep doing it. And I thought the only way to get over it, get past it, and find another passion was to just leave it all behind. So just really stopped talking to people at a certain point. Um, I didn't talk to Andy, and I just lived my life. And then in 2020, um, a woman reached out to me that I had no clue who it was, and she was just like, "Hey, yeah, do you know Andy Bertram?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I know Andy." And ended up getting this. She ended up like calling. I gave her my number, and she called me, and then I talked to Andy, and we reconnected. He gave me his number, gave him my number, and like it was just. We don't have like we don't talk daily or anything like that, but every once in a while we'll shoot each other a message. I remember one day I was bowling with my brother Alec. Obviously, you know who Alec is. But I was bowling with Alec, and I was just sitting there, and I just get a text message from Andy that was so heartfelt that legitimately made me cry in a bowling alley, because he just out of nowhere, he was like, "I saw this and it reminded me of you, and I wanted to tell you how proud I am of you." Blah blah blah, all these amazingly touching things, and I was shook to my core, because like you don't get stuff like that very often. Like, who goes out of their way to send you something like just a "I'm proud of you" message? Like, at least in my life, like my like mom or dad will say it every once in a while, but like they're your parents, of course they're gonna say it. But like I don't get a message like that from people who aren't family very often, almost never. And so getting that out of nowhere was just amazing, because like life isn't easy. Like obviously it's not easy for anybody, but life for me, in my perspective, is incredibly hard. uh like I'm not as successful as I want to be. Like I feel like everything I've done makes me a failure, because it's not as good as I think it could be or should be, and I don't know how to fix it half of the time. And I get into my own head, and but messages like that bring you out of it and let you know that, yeah, your work does matter. Things you've done in your life do matter. And so thank you, Andy. Again, I don't know if you'll hear this, but you saved my life. I've told you this multiple times. Like, I'm alive because you took me under your wing. You could have just let me just be another actor in your group, let me move on with my life, but you didn't. You helped me. And then one other person that deserves a huge shout out is my best friend. While part of SOS, I was in his wedding. He called me out of the blue after years of not talking. Again, like, certain friendships can transcend time, but that's John. John, me and him became really good friends really quickly. I don't know why. We became friends. We clicked. Literally, we spent if during the summer we spent almost every day together. He fed me when I was poor, when I was homeless. He took me places when I didn't have a car. He would just hang out. He was my best friend. He did a lot of stuff. I owe him so much. And like, hopefully one day I can just randomly surprise him with everything that I owe him. And it sucks that I haven't been able to do that yet. But again, another person who helped shape me into being a better person, because I just saw how good of a person he was, how much he cared. And it let me know that caring's not bad. Like, I have a full heart, open heart. I try to put people before myself. But at times, like, it does get overwhelming because it doesn't seem like that's what you're supposed to do. But then you see people who do it and you're like, yeah, I can keep doing it. So thank you, John, man. Like, I don't know if I've ever said it again, but thank you very much for everything you've done for my life, man. Again, you're another person that made it so that at 33, I'm still here. So thank you. So yeah, you guys are going to hear a lot of memories, a lot of like things about SOS in future episodes coming up. So I'm trying to not cover the same thing you'll hear multiple times. So I'm just going to go through a couple things that I asked them and just answer them for you guys real quick. Would I do it again? Yes, 100%. I would love to do SOS again. I wouldn't even change anything. I like the way I did it. I thought I did it to the best of my ability. I did a lot of shows. I became a better actor. I became a better man. So yeah, I would 100% do it again. Again, wouldn't change anything. I enjoy it. And then another question I asked them was, did SOS impact how you grew it as an adult? And yeah, SOS was the reason I studied theater in college, the reason I studied ethnic and racial studies in college. I wanted to make an impact the same way SOS did. Throughout my time in college, while I may have not talked to people, SOS was never far from what I was doing to become a better adult. I use SOS principles in a lot of my coursework, a lot of my projects. Even now, I moved down to Arkansas right before the pandemic hit, to try to create a group similar to SOS down here in Arkansas. But again, right as we got down here and we were about to start making magic, the pandemic hit, schools changed how they were running things. And so it kind of fell through, but, still working on the idea, still working towards making it a reality. It's a long road. Got to figure out a new way to do it so it works with how the younger generations work today, because it's not the same as how they worked in the 90s or early 2000s. So just got to figure that out. And then last question I asked all of them was, do they have any negative feelings towards SOS looking back? And while there were things that towards the end of it wasn't the greatest, certain people or certain actions done by the company or in the company definitely left sour tastes in my mouth. I don't let the negative feelings overshadow all the good times that I had with the company. I'm sad the way the company ended up folding. I'm sad the way the company ended up working towards the end. It became, and it's like anything, it becomes about the money because you need the money to do the show. But it felt like who SOS was changing to fit what they thought would make money instead of being who we were and using that as a resource to get money. So it's just unfortunate how sometimes the world works. A lot of kids are missing out on, at least in the Hudson area, are missing out on a life-changing opportunity. Kids are missing out on a life-changing opportunity of seeing the show. So yeah, it's definitely sad, but I don't have any regrets. I don't have any overwhelming negative feelings when I look back. Most of my looking back is in pure joy and thankfulness that I was even a part of the company in the first place. But yeah, like I said, more episodes are coming soon. I'm sorry if I just ramble and it's lost. And if you don't understand enough about the company, I'm sure you will in more episodes. And then I'll probably do a follow-up episode once all of the SOS related episodes come out. So I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this episode, listening to me talk for however long this has been. As always, you can find us on all social media sites at hypotheticallysound.com or hypotheticsound.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that, Hypothetically Sound, or DM XXVIII, which is DM28, our clothing brand. You can find us on Redbubble under DM28 if you want to support the podcast, if you want to support me and Alec and Xavier. They're great designs. Find us on Podbean or anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're everywhere. So until next time, thank you guys again for taking the time to listen to this episode. I hope you have a wonderful day. Deuces. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically Sound. We hope you enjoyed the episode. All episodes can be found at hypotheticallysound.podbean.com, as well as on Apple, Spotify, and Pandora. For full unedited video versions of the podcast, please visit us at youtube.com/hypotheticallysound.